Hi peeps, thanks for tuning in. This is a bit of a sort of request video in some respects. Quite recently I did a video on the re-release of Invictus Aqua, which you can see before you on the left. It's a bit of an unboxing and sort of first impressions because I bought it last week. I was excited to get it out of the box, test it and tell people what it was like, knowing that it's not available in many parts of the world at present and is currently really only available to pick up in Europe. Although a US release, I believe, is imminent. But the question I kept getting asked was, does it smell like the original Invictus Aqua, the classic from 2016 that was sadly put out of production as it was a limited edition, or it was discontinued, whatever, Paco Rabanne stopped making it. So what I said I'd do is I've got a decant of the original Invictus Aqua, which is here. I've had that for some time. I've used probably about half of it. What I said I would do though is I would do a side-by-side comparison, do a bit of testing and then feed back my findings. And that's what I've done over the last 2 days. I wore Invictus Aqua 2018 on one wrist and I wore the original on the other. And there are unfortunately some differences. I mean, on first sniff when I got the Invictus Aqua bottle last week, it sort of reminded me of what I remembered Invictus Aqua smelling like. It has that same, memory. But actually on side-by-side comparison, sadly, it does appear that some reformulation is at play. The opening is slightly different. I would actually say that the opening of the new 2018 version is actually slightly better. It's a little bit smoother, a little bit more refined, a bit more better done. Invictus Aqua, the 2016 version, while being a very fresh, clean fragrance, it did have a kind of sort of dirty edge to it in the opening anyway, which is absent in the new version, and I think that's actually kind of great. But there are, like I said, some differences further down the line that actually makes me think the older version is probably better. So when I've been testing it, I was sniffing each sort of wrist periodically to see what the difference was, and after about an hour they'd sort of settled where they were pretty similar. You wouldn't tell a lot of difference between the two, although I would say that the newer version did smell weirdly kind of teensy bit sweeter, and even with some sniffs slightly soapy, which I didn't really get with the original Invictus Aqua. But I kept sort of persevering to it, and then after a few hours I couldn't really smell either at all, after maybe 3 or 4 hours. But then I went to the gym, did a bit of running on the treadmill and was sweating. Obviously pulse points when your heart rate is going is going to bring out fragrances more, and I noticed then that when I was sort of sniffing wrists while running along, that the original was projecting more. It seemed to be stronger, although the scent of the 2018 one had come back as well and was still working away. It wasn't quite as strong, wasn't quite as noticeable. In some respects the older version actually smelled a little bit when I was running. It smelled a lot like the original Invictus, the sort of bubblegummy one. But I think that was more because it was projecting more because I was eating up in that respect. And then longevity. When I'd come back from the gym, I had a shower. That would often wash a fragrance off anyway. I drove home, smelt both wrists again, and I could still smell a little bit of the old Invictus Aqua on my wrist despite showering it off. And unfortunately the new Invictus Aqua had gone completely. So in conclusion, I would say that yes, there is a difference in smell. It's not major, but there is a definite difference. I know one of the woods that's included in the fragrance notes has been changed in the new version. I would say that the newer version is probably a little bit cleaner, a little bit more refined, but is potentially a little bit weaker, and certainly does seem to have a shorter longevity span. So hopefully this is not going to disappoint people, because I do think that Invictus Aqua, the reissue, is still very welcome, and it's still a very solid fragrance. It's still something that people who love the original Invictus Aqua will still enjoy. But yeah, unfortunately it does seem to be lacking a little bit of a punch that the original had, sadly. But these things happen, there's nothing really we can do about it. Whinge, in the fragrance community we love to whinge about reformulations, and I could talk you to death about Lanuidolom and the older version and how it was better, or I could talk you to death about vintage Le Male compared to Le Male that was out, you know, in the last couple of years, which is really quite sucky, but you know, it'd be quite a boring video. Anyway, sorry to disappoint, but thank you for tuning in. And like I say, this is still a very solid fragrance to add to your arsenal. Thank you.